Hello, Chupidines. And I went live already. It's a late night talk. It's going to be around how do you set boundaries with hi Ricard. How do you set boundaries with family and friends who isn't really taking you seriously? And I want to also say that while you want to set boundaries and you're creating something in your life, you're also unsure about it. Like, I'm gonna use myself an example. For example, I'm changing careers completely, and I've been working on this now for a few years, where I have quit my corporate job, had some other side jobs to help me while I am on this journey. Then I got some clients, but then I realized though those clients are aligned to what I want to create in this world, it's not exactly it. So therefore, I'm like, okay, I really want to grow my social media. I want to speak around personal development, share stories, really inspire people to do what I'm doing, and that is to create a life beyond their limits right now in the moment, because we all have limits. But most of those limits are obviously in here and from our past experiences, most of them, maybe not all, but quite a few of them. So on this journey, I'm discovering so much of myself, right? I have to learn about creating boundaries with myself as well. I have to learn about my self-worth, what I want, who I am, who I've been, who I'm becoming, the type of people that I'm allowing around myself. That part, especially the type of people around I'm allowing around myself, I have been very clear on that for a very long time. It's just that, things take time to create the right circle of people around you. So saying that, I recently was met with an experience, and I have a different awareness at this point where I'm like, I'm not allowing this type of behavior anymore. But it's family. And this year I've been tested so much when it comes to setting boundaries with family, to the point where I had to be really strict at some moments where I didn't really want to be like that, but I just felt like I wasn't left any choice, and I had to put my foot down and say, no, this is it. You don't like it. You don't appreciate what is being done for you. You don't value what's being done for you. Then please leave. Literally. Bye. Bye-bye. So, okay, that was kind of like the beginning of the year until very recently, and then now things are settling down, and I am finally having, like I mentioned before in a live, if you've seen it before, I'm finally having a studio and office where I can dedicate literally the space that I made there for my projects, for who I am becoming in this world, professionally, personally, in some ways as well, because work is always connected to all our areas in our life. It impacts it, like it or not. This just the way our personal relationships impact our work. So I was meeting with something very recently, and that is, I'm gonna give you an example. It's not the exact. Oh, hello, good evening, KD Outdoors. Thank you so much for the like and the subscribe. I appreciate it. Hi, is Mary. Okay, so going back to giving you the example. The example is, this is super, super simple, right? I love helping people. I love supporting people for them to achieve their goals, to get from point A to point Z, to point C, whatever. I love supporting them. I really, really love doing it. Okay, it comes from my heart. But I have found that people really abuse the goodness of somebody if they see that they're open to help you. Hey, baby, thanks for joining. If they see that you're good and you are open to helping, they will abuse it to the maximum. And the example is, what do you do if you're helping somebody with more challenging things? Let's say they don't speak the language, or they've moved here, they don't know anything, so like maybe to find a new place, maybe how to deal with things at work, all those things, right? I think those are like somewhat reasonable. You can have conversations, you can share with them, maybe you can even sometimes go and support them, if they need to do some important things in their life, like documents or whatever. But what happens if the person asks you, and I'm gonna use the most blunt example possible. Let's say somebody says, how do I get on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, whatever? They're very popular websites. And you tell them, you go on Google, and they have used Google before, they know how to use it, that's like certain. And you can just write Instagram, or you can just go to and say Instagram.com or whatever, and you'll be one of the first things that pops up, and it has this symbol. You show them the symbol, but the person, so like they say, yeah, okay, but and then you're like, okay, so they got it, right? And then a little bit of time passes, and then they're like, so when are we gonna get on Instagram? And I'm not talking about an elderly person here. I'm talking about somebody who uses the phone, somebody who has basic and much more knowledge than that. They can do this task with no problem. And they're like insisting, so when are we gonna do this? When are we gonna get on Instagram? Like when you go to Google and you tell them, but I already, showed you. I mean, I showed you, I shared with you. You can just sit down and Google it and get on Instagram right there, log in. But they're like, no. So I was polite. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this time because I'm not sure how to handle it without being aggravated, without getting frustrated and snapping. But not snapping in a sense where I'm gonna say really mean stuff, but snapping and like being really strong. I can be very direct, believe me. So I just didn't want that side of me to come out, like sharp side. And I was like, okay, so all right. I sat down, did something that in my opinion was one of the most ridiculous things that I could do right now and waste my time. In some ways, I really felt like that was a waste of time. That was not me being supporting anybody. You're not supporting someone who is capable of doing something themselves. You're supporting somebody who is willing to learn, educate themselves. Maybe this time they don't know how to do it, but next time they'll do it themselves if you show them. I just felt disrespected. I felt like my time was just disrespected in that moment. So some things that I've done in the past: first, speak to the person and create boundaries, let them know this doesn't work for me, but I know with this person that won't work, right? So I'm like, okay, what else can I do? And then there's another one that really, really hit the spot as I was looking through what are things that I can do, and also from like my training. And one of the things that in life happens is when we don't value ourselves, we also attract that. So other people don't value your time. Just because I work from home and I'm building something that is still taking time to take momentum, doesn't mean that my time is not valuable. But how do I feel about it? Well, first of all, I'm always scared. I'm nervous starting on this new journey. And I know that I started like a while ago, but right now it's starting hardcore. There's no more like, oh, I don't really have the space to do this. There's no more like, just like there's no more excuses. Not that I have them, that's the reason why I cannot think of them right now. They're just not present anymore, because I'm constantly every single day creating awareness that there's no more excuses for me. I'm taking this for a step further, and every time a step further and a step further, so no excuses. But there's still part that is like scared and doubtful and worried, and like there's still part of me, I'm like, maybe what I'm doing is not worth it. Who's gonna hear all these videos and stories and what I'm saying, is it really gonna make a difference for someone? And while I'm saying all those things to myself, I'm also aware that it's just a story. It just comes from my past. It's not real. And yes, it makes a difference. And how do I know that? Because people tell me it makes a difference. Literally every single time I do a live, somebody says something nice, someone either says this is, someone the other day said, this is the top live right now. And I was like, that's awesome that this person really enjoyed being there and hearing what I had to say, and it made a difference for them. That's one person. Do I need more? No, I don't need more proof. That's more than enough proof. And if you made a difference for one person, hi Alex, it's gonna make a difference for many more, right? So then I'm like, but because I'm a little afraid that I could fail, obviously everybody could fail, that part shows up. So other people are not valuing my time, and not just that, they're like literally testing me. I felt tested when this happened. The test was so strong to the point it was like, which way are you going? What path are you going to take? Are you just going to sit here and like, keep getting whipped? I'm going to just say it like that. And just keep getting put down and your work not being appreciated and valued? Like, who are you going to be? So though I understand that I didn't take the action I wanted to take, that part is super important on how we internalize it. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, what am I learning from this experience? Because it was so obvious. This is such a simple task that the person doesn't need my help. They can do it. Literally just needed to say, hey, write it down. And the person doesn't want to write it down. Whose problem is that? Is that my problem? No, that is the person's problem. And I cannot hold that person's hand indefinitely. Like, they gotta hold their hand, just the way you wake up every single day and you wake up and you're like, okay, so what am I gonna get done today? That's the same way. They have to be willing to step out of their comfort zone and get it done. And if they're not willing, well, sorry, I took you to this point. Now you gotta take yourself to the next point. So getting to that point, hi, Miguel. I'm assuming it's Miguel. Which gets me to the other point is, when these things happen, you gotta reflect inward and see what stories are you telling yourself for this to be happening right now. How are you attracting it? How are you bringing it into your life? And I felt in that moment, I was like, I'm not valuing my time. And today, I did so much today. In fact, I was surprised of how much I did and how much how little in the past I would value what I've done. Just to give you an idea, we organized pretty much almost everything. Well, I don't want to say everything. There's still a bunch of things to organize, but the biggest chunk of us moving is done. And part of that was finished today. And then I did client work, and then I did some cooking, then I went to the gym, then I did laundry. I did so many things. Meditation in the morning, like my morning routine, which felt really good. And I was like, I did all these things, and in the past, I would always feel like wasn't enough. And there's still like today, obviously I was building the awareness, but there was a small part of me that said, did I do enough? I was like, oh my God, I didn't do enough, you know? I was busy. My stepmom was busy. My dad was busy. Well, my stepmom and I, we do most of the cooking. So I felt guilty that I didn't do, more of cooking because she wasn't home. And it was just like this guilt. So I did a little bit, just to help her out, which obviously I think everyone should do that. Hi, Sonia. I think we all should be stepping in and helping other people, especially in our household. If they're not there and they're not able to fulfill their task, then step in when you can. So I was like, you know what? I have a little bit of time right now. I'm feeling guilty, but I'm not going to do it from a place of guilt. I'm going to do it because if I was in her shoes, I would also want someone to step in and help me with the task that I need help with, because today I'm not able to fulfill it. No big deal. So we shared that responsibility today. And then I went to the gym. And then I was like, you know what? I value myself so little. I'm giving that up. I'm just going to be like, thank you. And I'm worthy. And I can accomplish the things that I have set mind to. And this week I have some really big goal that clearly I've been preparing for a long time. And I didn't know, but I know now. So how would I set a boundary with this person? Well, one, I won't be as available. I'm just not available. That's it. I will be available for the things that matter, and for the ones that I don't think they matter and they can handle it on their own, I'm just gonna be like, well, it stops here. You can take it further. I think one of the things that happens for so many of us, including myself, is that we underestimate how much can someone handle, how much they can do for themselves without us holding their hand. And you would be surprised, in fact, shocked, of how much you or that person or those people accomplish if you just, it's kind of, the way I always think of it is, if it's a little kid, right? How do you teach a little kid to walk? You hold their hand, right, for a little bit. Then they start walking. They get a little bit of confidence. Now they want to do it on their own. You don't let the hand, you don't let go of the hand right away, but you start letting go of the hand. So slowly you let go of the hand. Now they're looking to see if you're there. And yes, you are, right? You are totally there to support them if they need the support. But you're not holding them anymore. And that kid starts to walk. Then they start to run. And they don't need you anymore. But for some reason, we're always holding hands of people, and specifically, not necessarily people, because I think all of us need sometimes for someone to hold our hand. I'm referring in the moments when they don't need it. And often in the moments that they need, we undervalue it, that they need it. And what do I mean by that is that sometimes when people really need us, it's a lot. It's heavy. So in that moment, we kind of like, yeah, we're there for them, but like kind of withdrawn. But then in like simple things, we're like running to help them, when in reality, they don't need us in that moment. They got it. They got it. So for this conversation of how to set boundaries with family and friends, I want to leave you with this. Value your time, and remember, your family and your friends can handle most of the things on their own. If you're that person that they go to if they need something, if it's not something major, and just to use example from my personal life, like they need a translation for, I don't know, a doctor, immigration, they're dealing with something at work, like a big deal with their boss. If it's nothing so big, they can definitely find their Instagram page, Facebook page. They can write a list of things. They don't need you to do those things for them. And you empower them by allowing them to do that for themselves. You disempower them when you take it and say you can't do it and you just do it for them. No. They can do that themselves. They got it. So I will see you later, Chipirins. And remember, know your worth. Remember your worth. You are worth more than you can imagine.